Hi everybody, how you doing? It's stage 4 of Giro d'Europa and I'm here with my co-host Riley Hyvey. How are you doing today, Riley?
Great, thanks Mike. It's a lovely course tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing this one play out. There's plenty of hills involved, so should be seeing some good attacks and some good splitting of the field. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing this race. Should be interesting.
Yeah, you can see we're in the lovely town of Pienza, Tuscany in Italy. You can see the lovely background behind us, and it's going to be a hilly one. So we've already covered Cap Formentor in Spain, De Ronda in Belgium, Tempelhof yesterday in Germany. We've got 16.4 kilometres of Pienza, 470 metres of climbing. So it's another hilly one, plenty of elevation packed into this short distance. And then tomorrow, the final stage, Dirty Riva in the UK. So let's take a little look at today's course then.
So we're starting off just outside the walls of the Pienza town. Slight little bit of elevation as the ride gets underway before we top out and we start dropping down onto the strade bianchi roads. These are some quite tight roads. There'll be some jostling for some position, and there's also some auto braking. There's a few really steep really harsh corners within this descent. At the end of the descent, the first descent, there's a very quick turn into a sharp climb. Quickly over that one, some rolling terrain. There's another hard climb, topping out about 12%. Over the top of that, descend again, hard right corner, and then we're back onto the tarmac and we start climbing back all the way up to Pienza. Some extended, it's a long climb back up the Pienza wall climb, and it doesn't finish at the end of the climb. We're going to go straight through there and straight over the top again. That's a 2-lap of this course, but it's really great. There's some, as I say, there's a few different short, sharp climbs within there to really shock the pack, give the opportunity for breakaways to really capitalise, and there's also the long climbs there to draw it out. Should be good.
Well, as always, we've had the 2 early races today, the morning and the midday slots. We'll give a little recap here. So the early slot, we had the regulars, Warren Gardner, Martin Skudelarek, JL was in there, Daniel Badke, and also Casper Heiderdam, our regular from the evening slots. He was also a morning rider. Alistair McAlpine as well there, slipping into the morning slot. But it was a breakaway win for Heiderdam. He powered away and he took the win over the top. And then in the midday race, we saw a very aggressive start by David Daly. I'll just recap, here we go, a bit more footage of race 1 there. And then in the second race, it was Sam Kimber who took the win. He broke away on the final climb from David Daly. Here we go. David Daly went out really early, aggressive riding off the start line. Caught up by the pack with the ODZ guys working together. Jason Flores, Jerry Dalport, the Dark Knight there. And then there's a small pack in behind. There's Jason Flores there giving us a little wave. But it was Daly and Kimber, as they have done in a number of the midday races. They pushed on ahead, and as they came to that final climb, it was Sam Kimber, I think it's a slightly lighter rider, just pulled away and he took the win 200 metres ahead of David Daly. So here's those times then. Gave you a little preview of those just now, but Casper Heiderdam there, 26 minutes 44, a full 2 minutes ahead of Alistair McAlpine, and then yesterday's Crip winner Warren Gardner in 3rd place. And in the race 2, Sam Kimber 34 seconds ahead of David Daly. And B. Maxu, it was his first time in the Giro d'Europa, coming in 3rd place. And Rommel Garcia, who we've seen sneaking into the top 20 overall rankings, he's finished with a nice 4th place there on race 2. So how does that look on the series standings? The series standings have been jumped around a little bit. There we go. Casper Heiderdam currently top, although rumour has it he's riding again in this evening slot. We think we've seen him on the start line. Sam Kimber there in 2nd, David Daly in 3rd, and Rommel Garcia, as I mentioned just now, in 4th place. Pretty tight between a few of those guys there. It's going to jump around a little bit after today's evening's action, and we will bring you the live result standings after the race. So I'm going to get ready to race, and Riley's going to give you an update on yesterday's prize winners.
So yeah, we've got the prizes that are out for offer. We've got the daily prizes of the Element hydration salts, and we've also got the Giro di Europa mug. Element hydration salts are voted for by the public, so we do a poll after every race, and we ask that everyone head over to the RGT users Facebook page and they can put in their vote for their rider. I put up a few selections, and we hope that everyone else will go along, either agree with me or they'll vote for their own rider. It's a good chance to show your support for one of the people that you follow in the platform. So the Element hydration salt's been won this time around by Tom Gakes, who put in a sterling performance on the Tempelhof Airport crit circuit. He said he was going to do well in it, and he delivered. Really good to see him do that. The Giro di Europa mug, that was won by Eric Denning. The Giro di Europa mug is a piece of memorabilia. We're offering this one as a prize to anyone who completes all of the races on a day. Sorry, that's not the end. All the finishes of the race on a day get put into a draw for the Giro di Europa mug. It's a piece of memorabilia. It is something that you can own yourself, though. If you like the look of the mug, if you want to have something to remember this race series by, you can head over to the V Cycling News shop. It's vcyclingnews.co.uk, and you can pick up your own mug there, along with loads of other bits from the RGT world. RET t-shirts, hoodies, all sorts of stuff is available in the shop, and there's also offers on all this week with the I think at the moment it's a 20% discount, and then there's also offers on free postage. But we're heading now over to the course. We're outside Pienza city there. It's a 15th century town. It's got some fantastic architecture, beautiful place I believe to visit in real life, but it's a good place to visit on the circuit here. Circuit's based on a course that they use for the Leroica vintage cycle race, which is a cycle race started in 1997, which was started to try and preserve the strade bianchi. They wanted to asphalt a lot of the roads around the area, and so they brought this race in to try and show that the roads get used basically, and keep them as strade bianchi. And we're straight in there at the front. Ryan Deadpool and Nick Hall following the night train. Ryan Deadpool there pushing out 290 watts, third position, and they've already opened a small gap up on the peloton there. This could be interesting if you can make this stick for a distance, the three of them working together. Nick Hall has already shown that he's a strong rider from all of the events. He's finished quite highly in every single race so far. And we see here on these narrow roads, those left-hand bends there, and this right-hand bend coming up straight into an incline, that auto braking applied, and then trying to find the right gear to hit this incline going up. Hitting 4% there, creating some interest. Back with Nick Hall, pushing out 470 watts there, coming up here. I'm not sure that's Wouter Klaes who just moved forward there. And there's Casper Hederdam, our little Energizer Bunny, making it onto the front again. Once again, he's the rider that we're talking about. I wouldn't be surprised that Rasmus Feldball has just gone through there in front. And it is Rasmus Feldball, winner of last night's race. The two of these guys have been working, Casper Hederdam and Rasmus Feldball have been working through most of the races together. Just see a few riders there at the back just getting distanced. Joris Shepherd's in the mix there. And Francois Eicher up on the front there. Wouter Klaes, his teammates in there as well. It's not a team competition, the Giro di Europa, but a lot of these riders do have teams that they ride with outside of this competition. You quite often find that they will work together within a race, even if it's not a team race. As we see a little breakaway going off the front there, we're back a bit further down the course, position 37. with John by the way there, Balshaw, K-Hop group. You see these little power climbs really do slow the pack down. This one going up to 11% there. So Hederdam's nearly crashed in that climb, and then we have a nice long descent here. There's Rasmus Feldman and Hederdam opening up a gapping on the group there of around about 40 metres. It'd be interesting to see here whether the pack really put in the effort to chase them down, because these two riders have shown that they work well together to keep the pack away. See Wouter Claes there. Rasmus Feldman and Hederdam here, they're not putting in too much effort on the descent. You can see with the power bars just underneath their names, they're in blue, which means that they are easing off. 270 watts, it's below their FTP. As Feldman puts in a little bit of an effort, and you can see the pack closed in. Angus Smith coming through into the front position there. Speeds of 75 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, with the new physics, we took a little bit longer to close that gap. There's not that slingshotting effect, so the pack travels downhill a little bit slower. It was good to see that we did catch them.
Back with Cord Pedersen at the back of this group now. He's just putting in a little bit of a burst there to get himself back into the group. That's Mike that we've just passed. Hederdam once again on the front of the group, putting in a strong effort. He's not allowing anybody to have a rest. He's already raced once this morning and put in a very respectable time. Perhaps he felt that it wasn't quite enough, and he's decided to come back and race again. A little bit further down the field there we see Christophe Contant of the Pedalaires. That's Krajowski from Rasio Racing, and there's Paul Padel of OTR there. And the Night Train was in this front group earlier on. He's just dropped off on one of these power climbs, a distance from the lead group a little bit. He's trying to chase back on though. Hederdam once again been caught. Francois Rijker takes the front. Francois Rijker, 296 watts.
I was looking at the leaderboard, and it's pretty close between 5th and 10th place, with Wouter Claes, Joris Shepherd and Christophe Contant. So if he's been dropped out of this front group, I can see him dropping a few places in the GC.
So Kurt Pedersen there, continuing to lead this race. 336 watts, he's just eased the pace slightly there. That's Francois Rijker, and I think that might be, it's Gavache comes through on the front briefly. John Samu also there. And again, it's the push on the front, it's Daniel Cadiz this time. Just looking at a little bit further down.
And Daniel Cadiz, they're pretty close in GC, but I noticed that Nick Cole was in that second group. So again, we can see some places getting switched around. We'll keep an eye out for that when we see the series rankings at the end of the show.
You just mentioning there Nick Hall, he's in the second view, and he's paired up with Christophe Contant. They're working together to try and limit their losses there, and I won't be surprised that was the Night Train just behind them, trying to close in and ride with them, also limit his losses after dropping from this group possibly a little bit earlier than he'd expected to. We're coming in with Angus Smith now, coming into the base of the wall climb. This is before the start of the official climb. It is a long climb, this one, long and drawn out, averages around about 7%. picks itself up a little bit around the hairpins.
Big attack by Debray off the front. Hayden following Falwell as well, was in double digits watts per kilo for a second there. It is lighting up on lap 1.
That's Rasmus Feldball. I think it's Hederdam again have gone through past Debray. Dubray's trying to chase back onto the wheel there. That's Feldball in the lead. It's looking like it's Hederdam in second place. Debray behind and just being distanced slightly now. So these two Danish riders put the power down and open up a lead on the rest of the group again. If these riders continue at this sort of pace and crest, they are going to be, well, I think they'd be unstoppable on the second lap. Feldball going further in front now. But the chase group showing at 22 seconds from Rasmus Feldball there. And it is Hederdam indeed in second place. Wondering whether his legs are feeling a little bit tired after his morning efforts. Looking at the entire group there, it's looking like Francois Eicher, Angus Smith at the back of that chase group, Daniel Cadiz and Woods Clays at the front, Nick Greenhalgh distanced slightly from this group. Rasmus Feldball obviously liking the gradients on this climb. He's really opening up his legs. Beautiful scenery. It's just, I think we're coming up to the start. Now Jason Flores there, the Night Train Diesel. Obviously known for having a good solid engine. Woods Clays moving up there into second position. I think that's Daniel Cadiz with him on the wheel. As Hederdam and Feldball once again reunited towards the middle of this climb. Hederdam taking a stint on the front. You just see that sort of watt savings there. And this sort of pack at this pace, they're saving around about 40 watts. Watt savings diminish as the gradient increases and the speed reduces. Roubaix up in third position there. A little bit of a gap in back to another group on the road here with John Samu, Ostergaard, Mike Lister, Borgard. I just see that's Nick Hall there, just in 16th position. And we can see Christophe Contant fighting hard to try and group back up with them. Joey Shepherd's flying up this hill now. Wonder if he's had a slight technical there because he just flew past Christophe Contant there. Kujawski, the Night Train, and Pedersen a little bit further back on this climb. Still pushing out good power.
Nick Cole absolutely flew past us, our little group. Contant is going with him. I think Shepard had an issue, he was 50 metres behind us, but it's come back together.
Back with Hederdam. We're not too far away from cresting here. Feldball putting in an effort to get back to his wheel. It'll be crucial that these two riders stay together as they enter the Strade Bianchi in the descent. You can see Angus Smith seeing the danger here. He's pushing an effort to try and get back up to them. I think what's going to happen now is that they're going to have to limit the losses on the climb, and they're going to have to work as a pack together on the descent to try and close in this distance. Casper Hedam pushing out solid 400 watts there. And they are now levelling off. Just see the gradient starting to diminish. And they'll be over and down onto the descent in no time at all. Nick Greenhalgh has recovered somewhat from his earlier position and he's back up into 3rd position now. He was back down into 16th, 17th position a few minutes ago. See Feldball is not even easing up on the descent here. Feldball's putting in the efforts, as is Hedam now coming through. A pair of these riders pushing hard on the descent to keep the gapping. Into the sharp left-hander, heavily braked once again to the right-hander there. Avoiding braking on that one. Hedam chases onto Feldball and they start climbing. And this is the pack chasing. Heavily braked into that left-hander and then the right-hander into the climb. As the pack slows, Feldball and Hedam have already crested that climb and are moving away. Only 7 kilometers left of this race. It's going
to be a very quick time. So I went over in 14 minutes. That's a 28-minute race. These front guys, I'd imagine, are going to be sub 26, which will put in a big heap of time into the other guys in race 1 and race 2.
See Angus Smith on the front of the chasing pack there. His power bar is in green. Feldball and Hedam, anytime one of them takes the front, they're going deep into the red power bar. So it's not looking like the chase group is going to recover much time on them. They don't look like they're putting in concerted efforts on the front. Rather they're sitting in and enjoying the draft of each other's wheels.
Have you got eyes on James Melville? He was in 3rd place at the start of the day, or 2nd place maybe, on the podium anyway. I don't see him in that front group.
Did only see Melville briefly. I've not caught him on the coverage since, well, yeah, for a good while now actually. I think you're right, he might be a bit further back on the... There he is, we've picked him up, he's in position 25 and pushing hard. He's with a good solid group. He's got Fleming back with him, Jay Fussell of the SDW riders, and he's coming up on Kurt Pedersen, who was putting in some earlier efforts. Flew past him. 24th position, he's chasing on hard. Obviously had some kind of a technical or an issue that's led to him being in a lower positioning than usual, and he is putting in a tremendous effort there, trying to catch up as many places as possible, trying to protect his time. Feldball and Hedam, 5.4 kilometers to go, 16 seconds the gap over the pack. So we see Melville coming round 24th position. Let's see where he can finish up. We can catch up with any of the groups ahead of him on the road. Feldball and Hedam, they are looking like they're going to be coming onto the tarmac any minute now and taking bags of time out of everyone else on the course. .24 seconds the gap in now. heated on, slightly distanced Feldball on this flat stretch of the Strade Bianchi. Back a little bit further down the race here, we can see the night train coming through on Tom Gates there and Grajowski. It weaves through that section of technical Strade Bianchi. Tom Gates dropping down into 20th position.
I'm currently in no man's land between that group and the front group, 300 metres ahead of the night train, Grajowski and Gates. I'm 350 metres behind the chase group up the road. I have got Borgard for company, so we'll try and work together. We're just coming onto the rolling section around the back of the course. 5 kilometres to go. Still got that climb. Well, I'm going to need to try and just hold off anyone who's saved a little bit in the tank.
There we are with Mike Lister and Bugaj just coming up on his wheel. You wonder whether Borgard's there. He's just seen Mike's wheel and thought, that looks like a relaxing place to sit. And he's just misjudged sitting into the draft there. Mike's pushing out 350 watts.
So it's not that easy. I'm trying not to give anyone an easy ride. Obviously I'm riding for time as well. So I need to keep pushing on, make sure I don't drop too much time from that front group. I want any chance from GC of getting into that top 10, but that might be disappearing today.
Back with the front group here of Rasmus Feldball, Kasper Heiderdam. Just coming down the last descent. They've opened up a substantial gap on the rest of the field. It's looking like 28 seconds back to the rest of the field. Fantastic racing. We've seen this virtually all week from these two riders, though. They've gone out and led the race from the front, controlled it from the front, and they've basically just let everybody else worry about chasing them. They've just rode their own race at their own tempo. Open the gap up to 30 seconds now. As they come down the last corner, and they're entering the tarmac and beginning this climb up to the city walls.
They've exploited a bit of a weakness with online racing, that it's very difficult when you're in a group to communicate with others and work together. You know, they're being chased by a group of 6. They should be able to work well together, take turns, get some recovery, but it's really hard when you're on an online platform to get that communication going, and that allows the people on the front to have more of an advantage.
Yeah, I certainly believe that there's a few of the racers who are on Discord groups who are working together in this race, and that, like you say, Mike, it's for those few racers together who can talk to each other and say, yeah, I'm spent, it's your turn on the front now. It makes it a lot easier for them switching. We've got a little bit of a race occurring now as Daniel Cadiz is taking the front of the second group on the road. Nick Greenhalgh, who has he'd made some good position up earlier on, he's fighting to get to the front of this group as well. Angus Smith's in there, Wouter Claes. Daniel Cadiz just stretching his legs, opening up a little bit of a gap on the rest of his group. Angus Smith has seen it and has started chasing on for him.
Just to answer a question from Jason Flores in the chat, he says, is it better to drop back for a group or hang out in no man's land? Well, it depends what type of race it is. So today is a GC, so it's good to try and stay in front if you can, because you're trying to get as much time as possible. You might find that that group behind does catch up a little bit. Anyway, you might be able to just ease off a little bit, which is essentially what I've done. Maybe try and stay a bit fresher for the climb. But if it's a points race or a scratch race, sometimes it's better just to take that rest, drop back into the pack, use that draft, and if you're a good sprinter, back yourself in the sprint to claim those places. But if you're a TT rider, maybe it's better to go out and try and just stick away. So I think it depends on what type of rider you are. Thanks for the question, Jason.
With my 2 pence, I think there's a little bit of an issue where you just drop back there slightly, but Borgard has come up to your wheel and you just seem to sit in and want to have the rest. So I think there is a bit of that where you may as well just carry on going at your own pace as long as you can sustain it. And you've no guarantee, because you've no communication with the rider that you're catching up to or that you're behind, then you've no guarantee that they're going to work with you. And Tim Sinclair there mentioned the point, RGT needs a virtual elbow wave to bring the rider through behind you. And perhaps we can use the normal wave symbol, the normal wave action within the races to indicate that. So you see Rasmus Felbel has attacked Casper Hederdam there, midpoint of this climb, and has taken a 50-meter lead out of him. Rasmus Felbel has shown how strong he is, but we have seen Casper Hederdam's every bit the same strength. But maybe Rasmus feeling a little bit fresher, not having raced the early slot. That could be to Hederdam's detriment there. So we're seeing Daniel Cadiz is not closing the gap, I don't think, on Hederdam there, but he is opening up a gap on the people behind him. So we're looking now, it's Rasmus Felbel in first position, Hederdam is second, Daniel Cadiz behind him. Only 670 metres of this race left for Rasmus Felbel, not too long to hold on. I'm sure he'll be looking forward to that finish line.
Malville is coming strong. He's only 60 metres behind me, and he's going to come and catch me in a minute. So he's really recovered well.
Yeah, I'm intrigued what's happened to James Melville. We'll have to catch up with him after the race and perhaps get the information from him to see what happened early on. Whether it's a real physical technical or a virtual technical. See Casper Hederdam just putting in a last bit of a sprint here to pick up Felbel. Felbel seems to have just faded slightly. I don't know whether he's relaxed a little bit too soon before the finish line. Hederdam's come up to him and just slowed as he got to him there. The auto braking, the computer system thinking he was wanting to sit into his wheel as their paces matched parity. It goes again, Hederdam, and he's going to go to the side. Felbel, he's just had a look behind him there and he's eased slightly. He's sitting on the wheel of Felbel. It looks like Hederdam wants Felbel to take the win in this race, because Daniel Cadiz is 130 metres behind. Felbel putting the last effort now to take himself over the line and finishing a fantastic time, but only 26 minutes and 8 seconds. Hederdam coming through just slightly slower than that, and Daniel Cadiz only 113 metres left to the line. As Roubaix is coming up hard behind Daniel Cadiz. Daniel Cadiz coming through, just only holding off Roubaix slightly there. Angus Smith, next rider through, and then Nick Greenhalgh, who also seemed to have had a little bit of a difficult race this evening. He dropped down, I think last time I saw him, well, previously saw him down in about 17th position, and he's brought himself back up into 6th there with Dupre behind. Gavash coming in. Wouter Klaes. I think Wouter Klaes is in the Moon Riders team. Nick Hall of the Friday Crits now. He's looking like he's going to comfortably hold off Joris Sheppers there with a 30-metre lead. There's Christoph Contant challenging Scheppers there with a sprint to the line. Scheppers just managing to hold him off. Eicher coming through 13th position here. He's got 100 metres clear on Ostergaard. Let's take a very respectable 13th position. Francois Eicher training for the Bastogne-Liège-Bastogne. It's a slightly lighter rider who likes climb more like the Stelvio, a little bit more sustained. So Stelvio, Mont Ventoux. Ostergaard just run through there, and we've got Krajowski now. Krajowski of the Ratio Racing team. And Melville. Melville managed to make it up to 16th position. The last time we caught up with Melville, he was down in 24th. He was riding very strong. Managed to overhaul Mike Lister. And there's Tom Gates coming through. 18th position with the Night Train in 19th. Borgard there, who we saw briefly, was riding with Mike Lister. He dropped back into 20th position. Jim McGilvey coming through in 21st from the OTR Racing team. And he's got Lee Marshall just behind him. Lee Marshall there is within distance to beat him. Gilvey's giving a little sprint to the line there. Marshall not challenging for it. He's just happy to roll through into 22nd position there. As Stevens puts in an effort to the line. And Nixon, Swedish rider, back in 24th position. We have seen some big gappings on the road here. Again, we're seeing in a lot of the races so far. See Pedersen, and just behind him we've got Fussell coming through. Pedersen sleeping a little bit here. You might not notice Fussell is on his wheel and coming through. Pedersen's been passed, but he's now putting in a sprint. He's not happy that Fussell's made it past him. Nixon through and clear in 24th position as we're back now. The battle on the road between Fussell and Pedersen. Pedersen sitting in on Fussell's wheel. He's going to put one last effort in now to go past him, and he does make it past him. Fussell's not reacted quick enough. Pedersen making it back up into 25th, sorry, 26th position there. Sorry, Pedersen 25th, Fussell coming through in 26th.
Alright Riley, I've got a little bit of insider knowledge. So first off, some big news. Apparently Casper Heiderdam is not able to make it tomorrow. So that's why he did a double effort today. Apparently he's live from the group chat there in the race. He's telling the other riders he's not going to be racing tomorrow. So I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's a family event, or maybe he's got a real race, or a real road race, outdoor race on Saturday. I know he's been doing a little bit of that. So that's some interesting news coming from the Pienza course. And then also caught up with James Melville, who had a little bit of a technical issue. That's what caused him to drop back. But he finished in 28 minutes 23 seconds, which on the face of it is actually not a bad time. Looking through the earlier time slots, that would have put him 5th in the midday race, and it would have put him in 2nd place in the earlier race, in the morning race. So he might be okay, but it's the people in this race on the road. You see Nick Hall there, he was 27 minutes 22, so a minute ahead. Joris Scheppers, Christoph Contant, Francois Eicher, all pretty close together there. We're just going to collate the standings for the general classification, and they will be live in just a moment.
So you see Stephen Bellio coming through there for the OTR Racing team. Just behind him we've got Ryan Deadpool, who was up at the front end of the race for a bit at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is any of these races really Ryan's sort of terrain. I don't think he would have chosen this parkour for this general classification, but it's great to see him and everyone else, taking part in this race series on RGT. I know we've got a few people from other platforms who've come across and are enjoying the racing, enjoying the drafting. So it's great to see them here and on these real roads as well. They do look fantastic.
So Kuterin coming through now, followed by Equi, and then just slightly further down there we've got Toe Green coming through in 47th position. And Toe had put in a great effort on the crit circuit yesterday. I think he was around about 6th finishing yesterday, so I'm surprised he's quite as far back, although obviously it's horses for courses and perhaps not a terrain that he likes. See Shane there just passing and coming up into 47th position.
Once again, good to see riders completing several stages. We have got the general classification on rgtdb.com, so riders can check out their position. As we've been saying all week with these courses, anything can happen. I didn't even survive one lap today. I got dropped on that climb up to the start finish line. That certainly cost me some time from the drafting. Just the efforts of the previous 3 days taking their toll. They are short races, hard races. You do need to recover well in between. Right, so here we are then, the series standings. Straight away I've just looked for myself then, I've dropped down 3 places in the standings. But from the top then, Casper Heiderdam in first place, 2 hours, 5 minutes, 13 seconds. He's got a 60-second lead over Rasmus Feldbau at the moment, who is just about 1 minute ahead of Daniel Cadiz. And then Patrick Rubar in 4th place. So with Casper Heiderdam perhaps not making it tomorrow, those 3 will jump up. Maybe we'll see a little bit more movement there. But as we go down, Patrick Rubar on 2 hours, 8 minutes, 9 seconds back to Angus Smith. James Melville drops down then to 6th place, but he's only 21 seconds behind Rubar. A few seconds ahead of Nick Hall in 7th, Christophe Contant in 8th, and Joris Scheppers in 9th, and Walter Place in 10th. So from Rubar down to 10th, Walter Place, that's 1 minute and 14 seconds. And if what we're hearing is correct about Heiderdam, that means that's the podium position. It's all to play for tomorrow. Any of those guys could end up in that podium position. I'd say it's all to play for. And just outside the top 10, Sam Kimber on equal time with Anthony Dubray, just milliseconds separating those 2. Gavin Ash in 13th. There's me, Mike Lister in 14th, dropped down a few places this evening. David Daly, he's been doing some of the early time slots, so he's doing well to be so far up. I know he's actually targeting a top 15, so he'll be happy with that position at the moment. Francois Eicher there in 16th, Krajewski 17th, Rommel Garcia, again another rider from some of the earlier time slots. You don't see much of them on the broadcast, but they're doing well inside the top 20. Tom Gates in 19th, and then the Night Train, who I think has just snuck into the top 20 after a good ride this evening. So one more race to come, Dirty Riva. Going to be 17 kilometres or so of off-course, off-road riding, a lot of gravel, and Riley has done a recon ride. We'll get that up in a second, and we've also got that coming up tomorrow.
Yes, the Dirty Riva is a fantastic course, done in coordination with the Dirty Riva Ride, which is a 200-kilometre ride. So riders will probably be glad to hear that it's only a sample of that ride at 17.7 kilometres with around about 265 metres of elevation. A little bit unusual for the courses in RGT. We have differing terrain like we had the Strade Bianchi today, but the gravel in Dirty Riva does actually affect the speed that your avatar travels at. So when you're travelling from transitioning from the tarmac to the gravel, you will notice a slight little bit of a drop in the speed. And when you're hitting the climbs, you might be hitting them at 8%. They'll feel more like 11% when you're on this gravel riding. So it is a little bit of one of those where you might be looking at your speed and think, I should be going faster than this, and push harder, and you might just find yourself blowing a little bit sooner than you expected, because these gravel roads do add that little bit of extra resistance. It might be a shorter course, but in reality, it's more like doing 25 kilometers on the road riding. It's really picturesque. It's a fantastic course to ride. You can see the dappled light coming through the trees. There's log piles on the side of the road. It's great. It's going to be one brilliant one to watch. It's going to be a brilliant one to ride. And I hope, Mike, you can stick it out a little bit longer and you can stay with the lead group a little bit further on this one. Some fantastic power climbs. That's one thing we'll note, is that when you see the climbs, you've got to hit them hard, you've got to get over them. They're not long drawn out on this course at all. Real stingers.
Yeah, a lot more punchy climbing tomorrow. It's only around 220 metres in total, which is half the total elevation of today. It's a bit more like the first half of the Pienza course with those small punchy climbs. No, nothing like the longer climb that we had at the back end of today's course. I'm just having some of my electrolyte drink. We've got the LMNT boxes here. We're giving some of these away for the rider of the day. We're going to get the poll up. Riley's going to put that on the Facebook group shortly. We're going to have 3 of his picks, and of course anyone else. You can pick your own rider who you might have seen throughout the pack today. I think James Melville's got to be up there. He came back from, well, he was 800 metres behind me at one point, and he finished. Actually, at the end, I was closing on him. Me and Tom Gates, we had a 400-metre sprint to the line up that final climb, and I managed to just get the better of Tom, so I was pretty pleased with that, and closed in a few metres on James Melville. But I'm sure tomorrow he'll be dropping me again like a stone. So he'd be my pick just for that great recovery. And I'll leave it up to you, Riley, to pick the 2 others to go onto that initial leaderboard.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, I can't deny James Mark Melville. I'll get there in the end.
Too many Jameses.
Too many Jameses. I can't deny Melville. Such fantastic recovery that he made there. Such a fantastic time, and you wonder how quickly he would have finished the course. Would he have been up there with Guido Dam and Rasmus Feldbau if he'd not had that technical? Would he have been one of the lead riders? Would he have been the winner? But I would also like to put in there is Christophe Contant, who's done some really solid, steady riding throughout this series, and I think as well the night train just to have snuck into there with some riding that I think possibly doesn't suit his style of riding. To have got in there in the top 20, I think he's another great rider. But yeah, as always, we'll be putting the poll up on the RGT users group. Please head over there, add your votes to ours, add your own rider if you want to add a rider. We're doing this, it's for Riley's rider, it's for the Element hydration sachets. There's 30 in each box. These boxes are really high quality hydration salts. They'll make up to around about 60 litres of the hydration salts for you, the hydration water, take on the rides with you. Really good at stopping you getting cramps, really good for after exercise. Some great flavours in there as well. I know some of my friends just like to drink them all the time instead of just plain water. Quite expensive. They retail in the UK for around about £45, so it is worth having. So get over there, get your votes in. Don't forget, you can head over to the V Cycling News shop as well, vcyclingnews.co.uk, and you can pick up any bits of the other memorabilia, the Giro de Europa mug, which we'll also be picking for tomorrow's winners from the riders who finished today's stage. We're out on Facebook, we're out on YouTube, so if you're watching us on Facebook, if you can follow the page, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can like and subscribe, hit the notifications. Really helps us to keep on putting out this series for you and future series as well. And yeah, I think that's it. That's me out of stuff for tonight, but I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. It's the last in the series. Dirty Reeve is a great course to be finishing on. It's beautiful. Don't get to ride it. I'm going to head over there soon because it's not too far away from where I live. Yeah, looking forward to it.
I'm just going to give out some shout outs. So yeah, just want to say Paul Nichols, David Torello, John Samu, Tim Sinclair, Jason Flores, all getting involved with the chat. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Really appreciate what you're saying. I'm glad that you're enjoying the coverage. We're going to go get some recovery in. I'm going to try and do a better job than I have yesterday. Maybe that pizza wasn't such a good idea. I am having more Italian tonight, but I'm sticking with pasta, so hopefully that will give me a little boost I need for that final stage tomorrow. So thanks a lot, everyone. I appreciate having you with us. I'm going to wrap that up now for me, and good night.
Just one final little thing to say. We do love having your comments. If you head over to the Facebook page and you write a comment under the stream during the live stream, we can get it up on the screen. We can discuss what you're saying, as Jason Flores did tonight, as Tim Sinclair did. So it's great to have your input into the broadcast, and it's great to hear what your thoughts are on everything. If you see something that's happening with the rider, or you know something that's happening with the rider, like what's happening with James tonight, James Melville, then we'd love to hear about it. Get the information over to us. If you know about Edam not hitting a race tomorrow, get the information sent over to us. We'd love to see it on Facebook, and we'll discuss it live during the broadcast. Yeah, that's it for me. Great having you with us, and we'll see you tomorrow.